Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Trial, Feed the Fire, out September 2nd on Metal Blade Records. The album has 9 tracks, 46 minutes in length, and this is the band's 4th full-length studio album. They are a Swedish heavy metal band. This is an album that at first glance to me, it felt very balanced, very cohesive. The experience didn't really feel like it was changing from the first to the last song. And the more I listened to the record, the more familiar I became with the songs, the more I was able to tell the difference between them. And the more apparent to me it became that the second half of the album is a lot darker than the first half of the record. Now that darkness is there from beginning to end, it's just that it's hidden at the beginning. It feels like there's more layers around it. So while it drives the content of the songs, it doesn't necessarily drive the songs themselves. Once you get to the later stages of the record and you peel some of the layers off song by song, you start to feel like darkness taking a little bit more of a predominant role, moving a little bit more into the forefront, allowing you to better focus on it. But the fact that it was there from beginning to end really hides the unbalanced characteristics that the record offers and allows you to feel like the overall experience is a lot more together than what it really is. Interesting design having a great impact on the overall playability. As far as the soundscape is concerned, this is a classic heavy metal record, but there are some doom elements, not necessarily in the sound, but definitely in the impact of the atmosphere and the experience. That darkness that I was talking about definitely brings that doom aroma to some of these tracks and allows the overall record sound-wise to have more substance, to have more texture, to feel more complete. Not one-dimensional, but rather have multi-dimensionals to it that allows the album to move you in a much larger roadway. The pathway, the journey is a lot brighter, it's a lot bigger as you're moving along. You don't see yourself getting funneled or tight squeeze into a smaller box, song in and song out. So the album feels a lot brighter, a lot bigger, but still having some borders around it that bring that darkness in, that allow you to still have some sort of closure around everything that is happening. Great sound from that point of view, but not everything is perfect. The bass on this record really suffers in some tracks due to the way the mixing was put together. This is not to say that the bass playing is not good, it's just some of the songs on this record allow the bass to pop. And I didn't necessarily want the bass to pop in the way that it does, because it creates a ripple, it creates some damage to a perfect picture that was placed in front of you. You're listening to a song, everything feels clear. The image is clear, the sound is clear, the perception is clear, what the song is trying to tell you and what the song is trying to do is absolutely simple to see in front of you. And then you have this bass pop in and kind of creating a little bit of a snag into this beautiful drawn out design. It hurts the track in that moment. It doesn't have a lasting effect on the song itself or even in the overall album because it happens very sporadically throughout the record. But it's something that you notice in that moment. And because you notice in that moment, it takes a little bit of the focus away from how good the sound in the song really is. Now, when it comes to the guitars are phenomenal through and through. There's really nothing negative to say there. The guitars are one of the pillars of this record, the other one being the vocals. I love the guitar sound. I love the twin guitars, the harmonies, the leads, the solo. The solos are phenomenal. There's not a single solo on this record that doesn't fit the criteria of what the song needed and that doesn't add value to the way the song is put together. Really a guitar clinic in terms of how you can make a record feel classic heavy metal sounding but still giving it enough texture and enough substance to it to have a lot more life, to have a lot more layers for you to peel, allowing the listener to enjoy this album not just once through but multiple times through. The guitars are a huge catalyst of that experience. The other one, like I said, the vocals. First full-length record with Arthur Anderson, and he is phenomenal. What a range that he has. Incredible range. I don't think you can write an album that has this up-tempo sound consistently, that has this sort of a journey, that has this sort of path, this sort of experience without a singer like that can perform at this level. He is an integral part of how this album sounds. It's almost like they created an album with a right sound for the right vocalist that they had in place. Anything else and you're going to lose something. Either you're going to lose on the sound or you're going to lose on the vocals. But creating an album that brings these two together really allows this record to jump out into the forefront and become a lot more memorable. It's also an album that has a lot of hooks. It's very hooky, very catchy, great choruses, and the vocals play a huge role in that as well because of the mix. They're not in the forefront, they're not all the way in the back, they're somewhere in the middle. And when you put them somewhere in the middle with this old school sound approach, you create movement within the vocals. You allow the vocals not to feel stagnant. They're not in a flat line. They're not moving from point A to point B in a linear motion. They have movement to them. So the songs have their own movement that the guitars are infusing in them, and then you have the vocals with their own vocal approach, with their own style within that mix that creates movement within it. So everything feels a lot faster. Everything feels like it has a lot more strength, a lot more intensity, because everything is moving in the same direction with the same goal in mind. And this makes for a great sounding record all around, because you forget about those little negatives and you're always concentrating on the positives, because the positives completely outshine those little issues that you may find here and there. Now, as far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Thrice, Great Path, up-tempo track. It comes early on in the album, and it has great sound, great movement, with more thickness and heaviness in the chorus. It changes its texture from verses to chorus, so you can create some ebbs and flows, so you can create some up and down movement. Really important, avoiding a more linear flat all around from first to last minute. You want to create some engaging momentums within the track, and changing how you funnel the sound from the verses to the chorus will definitely do that, and it does that on this song. It has a great solo, and the solo is really interesting because it fills in the track. It gives the track a sense of being complete now, because it adds the piece that was missing from everything else that was happening. It completes the experience. Next, you have Snare of the Fowler, and this is an interesting song because it has a cameo. It has Thomas Lindgren of At the Gates, and obviously has a much different tone. When I was listening to this song for the first time and I heard those harsh vocals, I knew who it was. Only one person sounds like that. So it's really easy to detect who it is. The question now is, what is doing? What is adding? Is it creating value, or is it just a cool cameo? In my opinion, it adds value, because this is a great song. It has a mellow intro. It really leads you into the song. The intro is long. It's over the 1 minute mark, but it allows you to set up what's going to happen next. And it sets up all the intensity, everything, all the aggression, all the movement that the track brings afterwards. It moves into a more up-tempo. It starts to feel like it's absolutely ripping through. It shreds. It's a track that just shreds its way through. So it has great movement. The vocals are soaring. They feel larger than life. They sound larger than life. It's a very energetic track musically and vocally. So, and then the chorus injects a lot of melody into that energy. So there's a lot of moving pieces. It's a very volatile track, but at the same time is a track that stays very consistent within its path. It keeps the volatility grounded, or at least controlled. And then you get that cameo. You get that Thomas Lindberg vocal approach that's very unique to them, that changes everything. It changes the vocal lines, it changes the sound, because the sound adapts to that vocal change. So the whole song has a little bit of a twist. It goes in a completely different direction. It does a 180 until it finds itself back into its original path. And the way it finds itself back into the original path is by using a solo section that starts to merge back that same feeling that you had at the beginning of the track, and it starts to move you more towards that as then you close off the song, making the song almost going full circle with that vocal performance, with that vocal cameo being a little bit of a bridge vocally, but also having a bridge musically behind it. Last but not least, Feed the Fire, the title track. This is my favorite song on the record. Talk about a song that just blows you over. It just has tons of power. It has tons of drive. It rips, but it still has that underbelly of darkness. I think this is the first track that I start to notice that darkness coming a little bit more into the light. The verses are more methodic, and that's when you start to define that darkness a little bit better, and then becoming a little bit more dramatic in terms of how it's presented musically and vocally, and then the chorus just ignites. The chorus is pure energy, is pure light, is pure brightness, making it very impactful, making very memorable, very hooky. The vocals put the finishing touches. That chorus is definitely going to be the selling point of the track, but how you navigate the moments in between it also make the song feel complete, also make the song feel like it has this lasting ability to it. If there's one track that's going to stay in your mind once you finish this record, and perhaps going to force you to go back to it again, it's definitely Feed the Fire. Incredible song all around. This is it. Trial, Feed the Fire, out September 2nd on Metal Blade Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band. On the singles, use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.